How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today it's just more of a messing around again. I've done the Rally Stage 3, and I just wanted to leave this in first, just to, while I introduce what I'm doing today and that. This gooseneck saddle low semi-trailer thing is a bit iffy. I used it once before, back near the start of the game when I was doing my missions, and it's the only trailer that's ever glitched and gone weird on me while I was actually driving and doing missions. And it doesn't get me now or anything, but you'll see a little later it just starts going weird, but that's what it did when I was towing it, so I just sort of left this in to say, if you're on a mission, yeah, the semi-trailers have never, I know I've seen the odd glitch like when they're detached and doing their own thing, but I've never had one go weird while I've been driving, whereas, yeah, this, I used it one at a time, and within an hour or so, it went mad, and it flung all my wooden planks up in the air, and my truck really, smashed my truck up. Yeah, this is the rally stage I've picked. By the way, as well, this is why I left this in. When you travel through to Quarry, there's just like, stuff seems to glitch through each other more, and yeah, every time I get through it, it was cool, because I was only bringing them all here to like the start of the rally course I've chosen, but as you've seen, when I got here, they all dropped through the trailer, and as you've seen in a previous video, when I drove, like, the loaf got on the trailer, but then I tried getting this Zix on the trailer afterwards, and it just made it go transparent, whereas just back in Zimnegorsk, I loaded all three vehicles on just fine, so there's something oversensitive about doing that transparency crap on this map, on Quarry, for some reason, but I've definitely noticed it quite consistently. Yeah, this is the rally course I've chosen, and to be honest, I'm not too happy with it. I mean, it's all, like, the first 19 odd minutes of this clip is like me taking different vehicles down here and testing them out. Keep it pinned and fingers crossed. Yeah, the last 8 or 9 minutes is more messing around. There is the odd one or two things you might be worth knowing, but yeah, I've tried to stick to the script for as long as I can. The first thing, and this is kind of why I like doing these things, even though this is just more fun and messing around, I don't know the ins and outs of coding and all that, but I understand the basic concept of what's trying to be done, and you add numbers in and they correspond, blah blah blah. But with this road, a lot like Michigan, a lot of trucks don't like this bit of water either. The only way I can imagine it is like as if they've got some kind of friction values in this game, and say White Valley, where I go down the runway, I'm assuming that has very low to none or no friction values, and that means, like, obviously you wheel spin, but it seems like you can achieve a pretty good top speed, whereas on roads like this, the reason why I wasn't having as much fun on this particular rally road is because it's like it feels like everything's just had 5 or 10% taken off it, and your top end and everything is just a little bit like, feels a little bit neutered, whereas when I did the rally stage 2 on the icy roads, like, once you're actually getting in a straight line for long enough, you feel like you're seriously picking up some speed. By the way, that digger, I wish they'd add a digger, because it'd be quite cool to move some rocks out of the way. And if anyone remembers that red thing from MudRunner that had like a mini snowplow sort of thing on the front, you could also, like, be good having one of them to clear some roads out, but I suppose every time you reload the map it'd possibly just put the rocks back, but like, I'll do it again. Take it back. Yeah, taking this little beast down here this time, this is still like, this picks up a nice speed and has a nice pace quite a lot of the time. It doesn't feel that affected, but yeah, it just, I could be completely wrong, but I imagine there's, say, some kind of friction values, and yeah, on obviously like the icy roads there's barely any. On these roads, to make the mechanics of the game work more like these roads are grippier than ice roads, it feels like there's, say, a higher value, and what that's doing is, like, even though you're getting more friction, it's kind of like more resistance, and you're not quite getting the top end as easily. But it could be like tyre dependent, and also I've been tyre testing. I always am every now and then when I can fit it in here and there, but to try and test every tyre on every truck would just take me too long. I've been doing runs with a Taiga and different tyres on the container contest, and I do kind of want to make a video about it soon, but depending what I kind of find, I might end up just putting it at the back of another video, or I might do its own video. But I have generally found that I appreciate people sending me all the values of the different tyres and all that, but yeah, I don't always find they line up anyway. Sometimes you get a tyre like a mud tyre and it'll suffer in mud somewhere, and it's like, that's weird. Even if I know there's different mud tyres, but you'd still think mud is going to be their area of expertise regardless. So taking the old Hummer, I've got it in just rear wheel drive at the minute. There's a guy in who's like a viewer called Jeff Kittle, I hope I've pronounced that right, and he was saying that he reckons, and I actually I've not done a lot of testing, but I reckon he's right, that trucks go faster, or a lot of things go faster when you just put them in like two-wheel drive. However, when I was driving along, this is a little bit arse end happy and all sorts to be trying to fly down here in two-wheel drive, but some trucks, yeah, you can turn the two-wheel drive off, and along roads and that, I reckon they are faster, because I'm guessing the way the game works, it probably dumps the power that you stop using on, say, the front wheels into the back wheels, and it just overall, it's like when you're going along, it does feel a tad more punchy. It's almost like you're gaining back the what this road seems to hold you back. It just feels like you're dragging a little bit, even with a Tayga. I think 2 runs in this with a Tayga. I did one in the big custom muds and one in a different set of muds, and they're about the same time overall, but yeah, neither of them, I don't know. To be honest, I could be wrong on this, but I could swear they've nerfed the Tayga a tiny bit. Just only 5%, and again, I could be wrong, it could just be the roads I've been bombing around on recently. Obviously, normally I'm flying off-road where you don't really notice it, but yeah, like you say, you're always like, come on, hurry up. That's why you need to get yourself a Dave. Stick Dave in it and you'll wrap it around a tree or something in no time. So yeah, that wasn't too bad, but it did suffer on that water. Next up, the old Dolphin. Even this felt it's pretty good, to be honest, this, even though, but it's still feels a couple of percent like it's just not quite getting its top end. It just feels like there's some kind of resistance. That was bad. Bad driving from me. Do you notice though how when I hit the post it didn't take any engine damage or anything? I don't think I've ever crashed nose first into something, unless you smash into a tree stump and it hits sort of underneath your truck, but hitting either a tree or a lamp post that doesn't even move, I don't think I've ever taken engine damage from doing that. So this thing's definitely keeping its speed nice. I think they've turned up the damage sensitivity as well, apparently. Yeah, this definitely feels more like it should be. Like I say, it's like they've stuck a Dave in there. Everyone's got to have a Dave. Not too many though, because the world would be anarchy, but at the same time, if there was no Daves, it'd be boring. There'd be no redneck full sends, or I'm telling you, if Dave is like a perfect redneck. Who is it on that film, Dukes of Hazzard? Sheev. That is Dave. Blowing safes up and catching armadillos. Although knowing Dave, he'd probably blow the fucking armadillo up and catch the safe, but yeah. It's usually funny if you take a Dave with you. Even I remember my mum telling me when he was about 3 years old, she was driving along and she just seen in a rear view mirror Dave flying down a ditch, and then she looked round and it's he's taken his seatbelt off, he's opened the door. Dave is the reason child locks and things were invented. He isn't on the spectrum, he is the fucking spectrum. They made the spectrum to try and measure Dave, and then they were like, yeah, I don't know, he just can't help himself. But he is funny, he is a funny bastard, but he's just, yeah, you know how in real life, even when I was in my M5 now, I didn't really like racing around on the roads, unless I'm a road I know and I can see all down it and I know no one else is there, I'll give it a little rag. But yeah, I don't like in real life, I'm kind of like, well, what if the tyre blows? What if a badger runs out? Blah, blah, blah. And I certainly don't want to hit anyone and be responsible for anything like that. His, like, in this game is where, yeah, I'm like, oh, what happens if I fly off this cliff? His brain in real life must just be, like, yeah, but what if I don't die and I make it? So, there's always something. Like, when he split my head open when I was a kid, we had a game called Kidapult. I mean, as a kid, you just hear that and you're like, yes. I think we probably named it off the Richie Rich film, but they had nets and shit. We ain't got time for any of that. But basically, like, Dave used to lay on his back and, like, pull his knees up to his chest, and then me and Ad, my like older brother, would sit on his feet, and he'd fire us across, like, stretch his legs out and fire us across the living room onto the sofa, and then, yeah, I had the last go ever, and it went, he, like, got the trajectory slightly wrong, and I basically hit the roof, and then came down head first on the concrete floor, and, yeah, my mum was in the kitchen at the time, and her cup of tea shook like Jurassic Park or something. Yeah, I split my head open, and well, that was it. Like, mum closed Disneyland Dave down because of fucking health and safety reasons, but I was the last person to ever have a go, and it didn't end well. That was the first night when I was at hospital. I had to stay there. The doctor, funnily enough, he said, like, they x-rayed my head. This lump on my head, by the way, is the biggest lump I've ever seen. I was like, Elephant Man the sequel. It genuinely, I don't even want to look on YouTube. I'm sure there is someone who's had a bigger fucking lump on their head, but this lump was bigger than a tennis ball that came up on the back of my head. And then when I got x-rayed, the doctor said if my skull had split open like another 0.5 millimetre, I would have got bleeding on the brain and probably died. But that's the thing, you see. We had Kidapult just set, so it's like, it won't kill you, but it's, if things go wrong, someone's going to get hurt. But like I say, that was like, yeah, that was the 90s. They were a great time. What a time to be alive. Tamagotchis, Super Mario Brothers. Does anyone remember? I bloody love this. I love this game. But Super Mario Brothers, but it was multiplayer, where you're like a tiny little Mario and Luigi, and you have to try and jump on each other's head. like a portion of my childhood with my brothers, and eventually my sister when she was old enough, was just playing that game, not for weeks or months, it was years. And I can't, it might have been on the NES, like the Nintendo rather than the Super Nintendo, like the SNES. It was just like ridiculously fun trying to, like, me and my two brothers are pretty competitive. Me and Adam are not that competitive. Like, he's definitely more competitive than me. I'm a pretty good, like, loser. I'm quite shy and all that, so I don't really like the attention of winning anyway. But when it's against my brothers, like, me and Ad know that it eats a part of Dave's soul when he loses something. So we just get ultra competitive when it's against us three. And yeah, when, like, that's how then Dave ends up doing something, trying to take it to the next level. And yeah, it usually ends up pretty funny, whether it's go-karting or just anything. Go, like, we used to buy old snotters, well, like old knackered cars almost, and when it snows every year, for some reason in England everyone panics and doesn't go out. So it's like, you go out on all the back roads in the country lanes, like, the snow could have been there a week and there might be a farmer's tyre tracks, because he don't give a shit, bombs around in the field all day, but no one dares go out. So, not that we're doing anything nuts, but it's like there's no police, no people, it's just like, you just go drifting around at 10 mile an hour, messing around in the snow, having a laugh, really. It's always been pretty funny. But yeah, if anyone's gonna go too far, it'll be Dave. Every time. I suppose I've not really been paying attention to the clips too much. To be honest, I believe by now the loaf has already passed. The loaf actually only did it about 15 seconds slower than the Taiga. And the loaf was one of the faster ones tonight. Again, it's not rapid by any means, and it felt even worse on here. And I believe the other day, high gear in the loaf felt a lot better, like they'd improved it. Now it feels like they've put it back to where it was. I was using high a bit more for the last few days, but yeah, tonight, again, unless it's this road, but it just felt, everything felt, yeah, dialed down a little bit. This truck funnily enough, and again, I'll get into something later in the video. I'm not giving anything away because you're going to have to go and check Jeff Kittle's channel out. But one thing though, like as a side note, he was saying like the trucks that are like rear-wheel drive and stuff seem to go pretty quick, and he's been saying like he likes this, and to be honest, I do like it. The only thing, it's got quite a lot of power, and particularly on these roads where it feels like something's resisting you. The arse end's constantly trying to overtake the front end. Like you'll see in a second if I've not already done it. The arse end goes out and I try to steer to catch it, but then it suddenly decides it's not going, and then I just spear into a tree because I've already like turned into the drift. Like there, you just, when you're trying to get your speed up, it's like you're constantly turning left or right, trying to stop the back end from coming round. But once you're actually up to speed, the highway trucks are pretty rapid once like you're actually on your way. See there, look, it went to go and then it just didn't, and then yeah, I was already in the steer, and it's like it's way too late to do anything about it. I mean, at some point that trailer, I'll show you it glitching soon. This actually was probably one of the few where it barely, if anything, I'd say the Dolphin was actually pretty damn close, but I mean, look at it, it's weird with the twin steer. It's like, I've worked out, it's basically, it has got quite a nice deep steering lock angle, like full lock, and it's actually not that slow at steering. The only reason why it's like turns like a cargo ship is because it's the length of one, and that's just when you're turning, like your pivot point is the rear wheels, and these rear wheels are 40 foot behind you, so unless you, even if you had full lock to the point where you could practically turn in a circle like the hand on a clock or something, it's like you're still gonna have some massive 80 foot like turning circle. So yeah, whereas that's where I think like the Voron AE had really just shallow steering, and it's like the Voron AE is half this thing's size. If this shrank to half the size, it'd turn like a normal truck, I reckon. It's just, yeah, because of the size of the thing, it's just I also think with this, like, I know a lot of people have skipped this and they reckon it should be all-wheel drive. Obviously, like, now there's mods and stuff. There's a guy called Captain America. If he wants to post a link to his mods, go for it. But I believe he's made one of these that's like all-wheel drive and so on. And yeah, I think for game purposes though, unless they turn the engine down a little bit, it'd be OP if it was all-wheel drive. Like, again, not OP as in like broken, but they obviously have to set the trucks at a certain level so the game has a certain level of difficulty to it. But a funny thing I've noticed, and this Captain America dude said the same, someone else has sort of said it in without saying it, I've noticed quite a lot of people are like, rather than modding things to where you just dial it up to 10 million horsepower and it's completely broken, a lot of people are kind of modding things to where they're not OP, but they're just, it's like, right, forgetting restrictions to make the game a challenge. It's like, what would it be like when it's just nice and it pulls up to speed? Because in real life, we've obviously got more options than just the 2 engines it offers us or whatever. It's like we could put turbos on, remap it, blah, 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 blah. Like, you can, sky's the limit to a degree. So, yeah, it's nice to, like, push it a bit more. But it's just interesting how most people actually don't want broken, ridiculous trucks. They just want slightly upped trucks. And to be honest, I'm the same. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love a 1,000,000 horsepower twin steer because I'd love to try and carve new paths through forests. Like, I'd just go flat out at the trees and see if I can make a new path. But apart from that, things like the Dolphin, or that barely needs it. But yeah, like even this, it's like, well, dial it up 5%, especially for sort of these roads. And just little bits and bobs like that. Some of the Scouts, it's like make them a bit more powerful and so on. Or if you could put higher range boxes, yeah, just little tweaks really. Someone was saying that, I agree. Stiffer suspension would be nice. Or like more suspension, you know, options. Like you could buy stiffer suspension. Which, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So anyway, this is the second run with the Taiga, and this is like the thinner mud tyres. And I don't, to be honest, they ended up about bang on the same time. Like I say, they're only about 10-15 seconds tops faster, sorry, than the loaf. See, look, the trailer's just going mad. That's kind of what it did when I was attached to it weeks ago. And it hit my twin steer. Looking at it like, seriously? Just nailed, like. Look at it, went for me again. Are you having a laugh? I'll go over and check it. Don't make me send the loaf. Alright, that's it. Across the line. The imaginary line in my head. We're here. Time to make it my bitch. But look, even when I'm trying to drive, this is why I sort of left this in, because what I was going to say, the main point of it is like, yeah, if you're on some like actual gameplay missions, take a different trailer, because this could end up... Where I was lucky, where it happened for me, I just plucked the wooden planks out the sky, and I had another mission that I needed wooden planks, so it didn't really cost me a lot of time in the end, but look at it, see, Loaf's done a rally driving course, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, that's just like I say, I was messing around, like, this is me when I'm just messing around, just because that trailer wiggled at me. I had to come and show it who's the boss. But yeah, like, if you're playing around and that, try it, but the saddle high gooseneck seems to detach too easily. This one just seems to go wiggly and mental. Of course, the loaf won. No doubt about it. It's official. Right, I'm not going to go into details because you're going to have to check Jeff Kittle's channel out. If I'm still awake by the time this uploads, I'll put I don't know how to put channel links, but I'll put a link to his video. He's found a way to break the rev cap. Look, like, that's in high gear, and again, I'm not telling you I've done it because you're going to have to go and see his video. I'd like to at least mention it and draw some attention to his video, because he's basically found a way to break, yeah, the like rev speed limiter sort of thing, and you can go flying, and you can do this sort of stuff. I admit, like, it's so crazy that you can't even hardly control the vehicle most of the time. So I understand now when he said he got an ANK stuck up a tree. I was like, oh crap, release the trailer, but it's too late. Many kites were flown. But yeah, check it out, it's only a 30-second video and you can go pretty quick. So this is what I like about this game, never mind that. 1 minute you can just be flying off a cliff, next you're just chilling in auto, floating down the runway. The way the sun reflects off stuff and that, they've definitely nailed it pretty nice. I like just the views, I could chill and watch this. Like I say, that's medicinal. Anyway, look, Cole comes in, it's time to stop messing around, like, get down here trailer, we got shit to do. And then, oh no, got a tank slapper. Everyone loves a tank slapper until they're in one, and then everybody hates a tank slapper. By the way, the American crane goes taller than the Russian one. It's the same with the heavy crane, only just with a heavy crane, but the smaller cranes, there's actually like a sort of sizable difference. That's what she said. This is why, by the way, why you get yourself a loaf as usual. This is me just trying to pull this over, and yeah, it's twisting round towards me, but the Hummer hasn't got enough like bite into the ground, or it doesn't move forward quick enough. This thing, it just pulls, and yeah, at that time it pulled it round fair enough. I didn't approach at the best angle. I got a better angle here, and yeah, it just like, it's got a lot of punch to it in when it's pulling. Oh yeah, Jeff, I blame you. Actually, no, I'm blaming the angry sea worm. I think that was what did it. Definitely wasn't me anyway. I did try to fly these again for a little bit, but I was testing a few things out, like say crane height. You can see in this video, and compared to the last one, that the crane is taller. Like the yellow crane is taller. Look at it, I tried to catch it. It's like, what do you mean no winch points? It was right next to it. At this point, it's like, well, that's your problem, trailer. I'm good. But the reason I was testing these sort of things out, I was trying to see what the weight characteristics of like other... I mean, especially when mods hit, I will fly a long-nosed colob before I stop playing this game if mods get to console in some type of reasonable time. I don't think they're going to be that long. They've not even, like, the first DLC's coming out soon, so it's not like we're 3/4 of the way into the game or something. Yeah, like, a loaf's different story. It actually makes a Zix wheelie. It was pretty fun though, like, come on, trying to, like, fly loaf, catch some wind underneath you. I think of the Zix. I got me there then. Made it all worth it. I mean, like I say, at this point, yeah, I am just generally messing around now. There isn't a whole lot to be learned at this point, but if you want to learn how to fly a loaf, there is. And when I said, like, the problem is the crane, just the weight of the crane slows the trucks down, and I know a few weeks ago I said I get that the crane will weigh the truck down, and I meant that when I said it, but I didn't know I could fly a loaf when I said it. I mean, look at it. Loaf's a professional. He's like, hey, what's going on? Where's my dolphin? Who we got to rescue? So, speaking of dolphin, I mean, look at it. Look at that. It's like a fishing rod. You know you've got a fat one on the rod when you're bending like that. It's got some pretty good air. It's going. I'm reeling it in. It does like to rotate. Like, to be honest, soon I'd try and winch it from the back. That's definitely some kind of euphemism. Yeah, like, it's because it's not got the winch points in the centre at the front. It has at the back, as you can see. Look at this though for a dismount. I was so close. Has anyone noticed that it keeps winching to the middle of stuff? Right, winched it, flicked it over, and then I attached the winch and it got the middle. It's like how the front was pointing at me. I've noticed since the last update, even when you're in a truck and you're just trying to winch to something, it just does the middle more now than it used to, and it's like, unless I'm going 1 mile an hour, the middle is never useful. I need the front or the back. That's what she said. I mean, look at this for a dismount. Does like a handstand. Flips around. He's ready. Let's go rescue some shit. Dolphin in loaf ride again. Giant middle finger to the mountain. Look at it. It's a professional. Say hello to John. Have they made the horn a little bit more like... The Azov was never an amazing horn anyway, but I'm sure that's got a little bit more meat to it than it used to have. By the way, I tried stealing that CK-1500 and you can't. I mean, look at it. Thug loaf. To be honest, I would like to keep a lowered one around, but I know what I'll do. I'll buy one. I can't spare one of my loafs. I'll buy one, and then I just won't lower it, and I'll keep it, and I'll start driving it. I mean, look at it. What a horse of a vehicle. This, Jeff. That's what happened when I was testing your high gear theory. Absolutely went sideways and planted. Right, that's apologising to the loaf. Notice though, completely deleted the Transtar. The loaf on the other hand has lost like what, a fifth of its suspension. Didn't even get any other damage even though it said it did. It was just playing. Get yourself a loaf. Absolute horse of a vehicle. I mean, look at it. Of course it's broken. It dead crossed the path of the loaf, and that's what it gets. That's why it was dead, by the way, or half dead in yesterday's video. That was just before yesterday. I mean, look at this. Again, check Jeff's video out, because that was in high gear, and again, I ain't telling you how I've done it. Like, you'll find out if you watch his video. But yeah, I was like, speed gains! I even went and bought this thing, which I have bought before, but I've barely driven. Nice little flip at the end. But yeah, I mean, look at it, if you want to do this sort of stuff. That's right, tree. Remember me? I've already hit America, fuck yeah, that tree with a Kodiak, but, you know, it's nice to let it know I'm still in the area. Right now, I was like, what? What do you mean engine damage? What did I do? Barely tickled it. I know the drill by now, though. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Look at it. Like a salmon flying upstream. Like, BAM! Hello, lady salmons. How do you like your eggs in the morning? Fried or fertilised? Because I am available.